Hey everyone, I'm Davida, aka Condo Plant Mama, and I am the ultimate crazy plant lady that began her collection and plant obsession while living in a condo, but now I live in a much bigger home with lots of different CPMGStudio spaces. Welcome to this edition of CPMGStudio Check Peptalk.
Oregano.
CPMG stands for Condo Plant Mama Garden, and I have been setting up CPMGStudio spaces in the condo, at different offices and workplaces that I have been assigned to, and right here in my Kensington, Maryland home for years. So on today's Check Peptalk, we're going to be talking about the Raindrop Peperomia, or Peperomia polybotra. I have been collecting these beautiful specimens to try out in my DIY self-watering planter using a glass bowl and a grow pot. And these are currently growing in Lechuza pond, but I feel very strongly that the system that I am about to show you and to demonstrate will work with any peperomia growing in any substrate. I kid you not. Peperomia can be growing in anything, in perlite, leca, whatever potting mix that they are potting them up in when you find them at the garden centers. This system works because I have been experimenting with it since May, and it is now almost September. It's August 31st, and check out how beautiful these are. I mean, they are so much bigger and plumper than when I first brought them home. And I have 6. I have 6 of them here, and I did have a 7th one that I shipped out to my good friend Sioma in Chicago. So if you're interested in learning more about this method that I'm using to grow my Peperomia polybotras, I have linked below my quick project notes guide, my QPN guide for how I potted these up using grow cups and glass bowls from my local Dollar Tree. These are potted in pond, but once again, this works with leca, this works with soil, this works with moss. This is something that is so very simple, and I invite you to just ask any questions you have in the comments, and please, as you go through the video, bear with my singing, because that's what I do. I break out into song quite often, something that my family has hopefully gotten used to by now. And before I forget, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell so that you are notified whenever I have a new video posted and ready to share. Okay, ready to go? All right, welcome to my first edition of CPMGStudio Check Peptalk. Watch me juggle these polybotra pots. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens. Brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Okay, gotta be careful with these. It's glass. Brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Hi, I'm Davida, please call me V, and welcome to my CPMGStudio space for today's video. I am in the loft room, one of my most favorite CPMGStudio spaces in our Kensington, Maryland home. CPMG stands for Condo Plant Mama Garden, and even though I started my plant love obsession while living in the condo, I now live in a much bigger house that has a lot of CPMGStudio spaces. So which featured plant is hanging out with me today in the loft room? I figured it would be fun to show you my growing Peperomia polybotra collection, otherwise known as the Raindrop Peperomia. So like the Chinese money plant, which this plant closely resembles, I have many pots of the same plant. And that's because I am fascinated with it and I want to do everything I can to learn about it and to figure out exactly what I need to do to optimize its growth and care. So that's why I have so many raindrops, all growing in PON, and the collection grows and grows and grows. Well, two key reasons. The first reason is that I'm a compulsive collector. If there is a plant I'm fascinated with, I collect more and more of that plant because I love being surrounded by it and I want to learn as much as possible about it. And I also like having multiple pots, I guess for insurance, just in case one of my plants don't do well. So that's one reason. The other reason why I have so many of these is that I have been propagating each plant through division and separation. So these plants are actually from the first pot that I got from the Hilton Carter collection at Target. These are Raindrop Peperomia or Peperomia polybotras. That was one of the plants that he featured as the live plant collection in 2024. My favorite way to propagate is through division and separation. Let me demonstrate using this beautiful Raindrop Peperomia that I got from the Hilton Carter collection in early May. In my experience, getting plants from Target is always a crapshoot, especially if they're challenging ones. For me, it is the Peperomia polybotra. So from that pot, I separated the plant and split it into two and put them each in a glass bubble bowl planter arrangement. So the glass bubble bowl has a grow pot where the plant has been repotted in PON. And when I saw how well these two are doing and how they took off, I went ahead and rescued another pot from Target. So after getting one Raindrop Peperomia from Target, I noticed that there were other raindrops that were not doing well at my local stores and they needed to be rescued. So I got a second pot and I split that pot up as well. And this is how the plants are doing. They're doing great in PON. As you can see, there's new growth coming up and they're much happier in this potting situation. So that's how I went from 2 pots to 4 pots. And the grand total is now 6.
Oregano.
So why do I now have 6 pots of raindrops? We have this one and then we have this one. Well, the reason is that my local Lidl market started selling Raindrop Peperomias for $5 each. And how can I possibly resist? I mean, look at the size of these leaves. I wanted to see how well they do in PON. I want to see how big their leaves get. Once I successfully transition them to PON and they acclimate. So that is how I went from 1 pot of Peperomia raindrops to 6. I lied. 7 pots. One key difference is the fleshiness and hardiness of the leaves. Raindrop Peperomias have much thicker and hardier leaves and stems than a Chinese money plant. Raindrop Peperomia leaves are shiny and glossy, which is one of the reasons why I love them so much. The Raindrop Peperomia is often mistaken for a Chinese money plant because they both look very similar. So this is a Chinese money or a Pilea peperomioides plant, and it is not a peperomia. It's a Pilea. See the difference? How much thicker and glossier raindrops are? That is one reason why I'm so fascinated with these. The dark green glossy leaves are chef's kiss for me. The other visible difference is the shape of the leaf. Raindrop Peperomias have a pointed end at the bottom. So they're more heart-shaped as compared to Chinese money plants, which have a round shape to their leaf. I adore both of these plants because I love the dark green color of their leaves. I love the shape of their leaves. So whenever I see Raindrop Peperomias in a plant shop or a Target or a supermarket, I find it extremely hard to resist because I absolutely adore this plant, and the raindrop reminds me of the Chinese money plant. And yes, I have multiple pots of this plant as well. Ta-da! It's a costume change. day or evening. I apparently have a lot to say about polybotras in PON. When I split and divided the first 2 pots, I decided to repot them in PON and use glass bubble bowls for their self-watering containers. Why? Because I wanted to see the water level. Here's what I mean. When I water my plants in semi-hydro, and in this case PON, I need to see the water level when it comes time to do their pot checks. What I mean by a pot check is doing a quick inspection once over to see if the plant needs anything. Water, rotation, leaf cleaning, pest management. And with plants living in PON, I need to see if more water is needed for their self-watering container reservoir. With these glass bubble bowls, you can see exactly where the water level is at. And the level tells me whether or not I need to add more nutrient water. All plants growing in PON gets General Hydroponics Flora Series nutrients for every watering. I have included in the description a link to getting General Hydroponics for watering your semi-hydro plants. When I first brought these raindrops or polybotras home, they were planted in potting soil. So I removed the soil and split them in half and then repotted them directly in PON. This is the PON I'm using. The official Lechuza brand, which is the gold standard of the PON substrate. Lechuza has a combination of lava rocks, pumice, zeolite, and slow-release fertilizer granules. Once I potted each polybotra in PON using a grow pot with the drainage holes, I inserted the grow pot in a closed container that will store the nutrient water for the plant. I added nutrient water for the plant by watering it from the top and stopping when the water level rises to roughly 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch of the bottom of the grow pot. The plant wicks up the water it needs from the bottom through capillary action. Over time, as the plant sips the water level goes down. And that is how this becomes a self-watering planter. Now I do use some non-glass containers for other PON semi-hydro setups. As long as the container is closed and has no drainage holes at the bottom, it can be used for a self-watering planter. But here's the problem with non-clear containers. You can't check the water level visually. You have to lift the grow pot out of the vessel to check the water level and to see if any more water is needed for the plant. For this polybotra, I need to check the water level by lifting the grow pot out of its container and taking a look, which is fine. I do this for the majority of my semi-hydro plants, but I prefer to use a clear glass container because I can visually check and see where the water level is at a glance. Now, one quick note about working with clear glass vessels. When you have a plant that is growing in a clear glass vessel and sunlight filters through the glass, chances are you're going to get some algae buildup. You know that icky green film you find around the inside of your vessel where the water is kept. That's where the buildup will happen. Algae is not harmful to plants. It's perfectly safe. Most plants will be just fine surrounded with a little bit of algae buildup, but algae is also a living organism that is competing with the plant for whatever light and nutrients that are coming into its vessel. So it's using up the resources plants need to optimally grow and photosynthesize. So because I'm looking to grow plants and not algae, I routinely clean each glass vessel by removing the grow pot, dumping the water, and wiping away the unsightly green film with a Fisher-Price wet wipe. These are 99% water wipes that are perfectly safe to use for cleaning your plant vessels and for cleaning the plant leaves for that matter. A nice clean vessel makes for a happy plant and a very happy plant mama. All of the pots seen here, including this one that's decorated in gems, I got from my local Dollar Tree. And that includes the glass bowl and the grow pots. Links to the products used for these planters are in the video description. So that is my overview of my current Raindrop or Polybotras Peperomia collection. We covered the propagation ground using the division and separation method, how they compare to its doppelganger look-alike plant, the Pilea peperomiotis, or Chinese money plant, and how these are potted up in PON using my DIY self-watering planter that features a starter grow pot and a glass bubble bowl. I will be doing more Raindrop Peperomia progress videos later in the fall after these have had some time to soak up all the benefits that PON has to offer. I am determined to be as successful with these as possible, so please add any tips or questions you have about this plant in the comments. And please consider clicking that subscribe button and the notification bell to receive alerts on future Condo Plant Mama videos. And look for me on Instagram at Condo Plant Mama for more plant love videos, photos, live chats, and true plant love conversations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.